Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Pebbles Turbyville. I'm the CEO for Horses and Humans Research Foundation. And just to give you a little bit of information, we serve to advance global knowledge of the horse and human interaction through research and education. So that's why we're providing this webinar tonight, because we have some special riders who have competed this summer in the Olympics. And I'm so excited because I even got to see one of the gold medals already. But I'm going to turn it over to Jenny Nell, who is going to be our moderator. So take it away, Jenny.
Thanks, Pebbles. Good evening, everyone, or good afternoon, or good morning, depending on when you're calling from. People coming in from Hawaii and whatnot, so it's great. We have kind of a vast group of people today. My name's Jenny Nell Hartek. I served in the therapeutic riding industry for decades, both at Little Bit Therapeutic Riding Center as well as a small center I opened here in Wyoming when I moved here 15 years ago. I coached para riders before it was called para, when we were competing at shows called the USCPAA. Do you remember those, Becca? United States Cerebral Palsy Association shows.
Yeah.
Way back. I had a fantastic rider that I helped compete among others, but my earliest rider, her name was Margot O'Callahan. And if you had ever met Margot, you would have known you met a superstar. She was just a fantastic person, and I know Becca knew her, and she was pretty special. I want to go ahead and introduce our riders first. The first one is Rebecca Hart. I'll let you introduce yourself, Becca.
Hi, my name's Rebecca Hart. As Jenny was talking about, I've been in the program for a very long time. I am jokingly called the grandma of the team by this one. And I actually also met Margot. She was at a lot of the shows that I originally competed at before para was really para. And one of the funniest stories is I think I was 15 or 16 years old, and we were at a national championships, and it was storming, and I had never met Margot before. She was absolutely lovely, but I was being a dumb 15-year-old and sitting against a metal post in the middle of a lightning storm. And I just remember Margot coming over and being like, no, 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 and pulling me away from this post. And then she kind of took me under the wing that entire competition. And she was so supportive and so lovely, not only saving me from lightning, but also just kind of helping me kind of learn the ropes of that first competition. And I've been doing it now for over 25 years. And so incredibly grateful to watch the kind of progression from when I first started, it was borrowed horses, and we didn't own our own horses, to where we are now, winning triple gold at the Paralympic level. So it's really grown, and it's been amazing to watch that progression over the last several decades.
Wow. It still just shocks me that 15-year-old kid that I met at Gladstone that time with teeny tiny Margot, 4'8", she weighed, I think, 85 pounds, and had severe aphasia from a series of strokes, could only say one word at a time, and she'd say it 3 times in a row. So no, I can totally hear her saying that to you. Or coffee, 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 her favorite thing.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for that memory. That was fantastic. Next up is Miss Fiona Howard. Welcome to the group, and please introduce your amazing self.
Hi, I'm Fiona, and I've been doing para since 2022. So that was when my para journey started, and actually the first person I reached out to at the start of it all was actually Becca, and I messaged her on Instagram and was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And I was like, I don't know what I need to do anything. I had like no idea what I was doing. And Becca responded to my message and was like, do you want to like jump on a call? And I was like, sure. But I was also like a little bit intimidated because I was like, this is Becca. And she sent me all of like the documents we needed and gave me a little bit of a rundown of like how it all worked. And then 2 years later, we got to go to Paris together, which was kind of cool.
And what she's being very humble about right now is she broke the world record literally this morning at the CPEDI that she just competed in. So
congratulations. What was your score, young lady?
Thank you.
It was a grade 2 test. And what was your score?
It was a 83.2.
2.9,
Yeah,
something?
yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
You done good.
Congratulations. It's hard to believe. I'm speechless, but I think I might be. My dog just bounded in the room. Sorry about that. The beauty of calls at home. Wow. Thanks for that story, Fiona. That was fantastic. And next up, and not to be outdone, is Kate Shoemaker. Welcome. And please introduce yourself and your beautiful horse behind you.
Hi there, I'm Kate. Yeah, kind of hard to follow, you know, the world record holder, you know, but my journey with horses began young, like the other two ladies, and actually got a video of horses in my stocking and was told to pick a horse, you know, because that's a great way to you know, do horse shopping. We didn't really know what we were doing. And so I did. I picked one, a big black off the track thoroughbred, you know, that was 5 years old, and went to go and try the horse. And this incredible person that I actually still know to this day was like, yeah, I don't think you should get on this horse. And she gave me some guidance in the direction to go. And that actually started my whole path of how I got to where I am now, because I ended up at a dressage barn with a trainer that was like, you're going to need to be in lessons and a program and everything. And they gave me structure from the very beginning and then trained me for years to come. And I really owe them so much, Jan and Ernie, and back at Once Upon a Horse in Eagle, Idaho, my hometown. So yeah, it's the start of the journey and all the way here now to my second Paralympics and 2 World Games. And yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Talking about a small world, I have evented in Eagle, Idaho.
Really?
I was an eventer in my, yes, absolutely.
Maybe,
Oh my
maybe I've
gosh.
seen you.
Maybe so. Was I going too fast on cross country? Probably. Oh, thank you for that. And thanks for that great story. Do you want to introduce your horse behind you too?
Oh, sure. So this is Fiona. She was my world championship mare from Herning, and brought home team bronze and an individual silver medal and personal best for me. And she's a very special horse to me. Of course, I lost her this year in a tragic accident. So, you know, there's really no words to express how you feel after such an accident. So she will always be my heart horse, and definitely took a piece of my soul with her when we lost her. So, but you know,
I am so sorry. Oh my goodness. That's rough. And thank goodness that you have your memories and your medals and your personal best to always carry with you. Well done. And Michelle, chef de keep and person extraordinaire. When Michelle came on the scene, I think that's when the team really started to really excel, at least from my perspective, watching from over here in the wild, wild west. Michelle, welcome, and thank you so much for all your service, and introduce yourself to all these great folks.
Yes, hello. So my name is Michel Assouline, and I started as a technical advisor and coach development advisor for USEF in 2017. I started my career as an international dressage rider in Europe. I'm originally from France, but I've always been based with my wife in England, and I have competed as a dressage rider and notably won the French championships in Grand Prix in year 2000, after which I was approached by the British Federation to be their team trainer for Grand Prix dressage rider, which at the time I declined because I still wanted to compete internationally myself. And they came back with the offer of helping the para dressage team, which I also declined because I had no clue what I should do with it. So they pushed on and said, you know, why don't you try it? We think that, you know, you'd be good at it. And I thought, okay, let's give it a try. And then I've been with the para riders ever since. So I worked for the British team as a technical advisor and head coach for 13 years, did 3 Paralympic Games with them, went very well.
And a whole lot of medals.
A lot of
Brits
medals.
used to really rule the podium.
Yes, I think we had 3 gold. Well, I think we medaled in all the teams, you know, World Championships, Paralympic Games and Europeans. I think we were never defeated for 13 years, which was a great way to get started in para dressage for me, because obviously, you know, you develop your skills even more being, you know, within a great bunch of athletes. It's never a bad thing. And, you know, I really, really enjoyed it. We're also involved together with my wife in finding horses as well. So it was sort of a big team effort for, you know, attacking the sport from all aspects. And it became very successful. And after which I was approached by the US Federation to come and rescue the sport here, which I gladly took
Thank
over in
goodness.
2017. And it's been very fun. I know we've done well. We've moved on. I think when we started, we were number 12 on the FEI ranking, and we moved up to team bronze in Tokyo and team bronze in Herning, and obviously Paris gold. But it's been really fun. You know, for me, what's really nice is working with a great group of people. You know, it's just like a family. You know, it has to be fun and pleasurable, first of all. And I believe that's sometimes how you succeed. It's not just a job, if you see what I mean. So it's been great. I've been really feeling always at home here. It's tough because I do travel back and forth between Europe and the US all the time. You know, I've got family. I live in England still. I've got a daughter, a wife who is Danish, makes it a little bit more complicated. So we just travel the world all the time, but it's great. It's just a great place to be. So yes, I'm very much enjoying what I'm doing, and I hope we continue to succeed.
Well, I think with your leadership and Laureen Johnson and the rest of the folks that make up the behind the scenes staff, I think that we probably will. It's been amazing. Fiona, I have to just step. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, sorry, I was going to say it's very much so a partnership between me and Laureen. We work really, really well together. And I have to say, without her help and support, I don't think we would be there as well. It's teamwork, isn't it? Every increment that we are going through has to do with the team. And I think we make a good team. And Laureen is doing an incredible amount of work backstage, I have to say.
She has been around the sport for para for a long, long time. Long before we had a U.S. Para Equestrian Association. And she has worked tirelessly, literally for decades, working as hard as she can, learning as much as she can, and finding sponsors and help. And you're right, she is instrumental. I don't think she's on the call, but shout out to her because I know how hard she's worked over the years. Speaking of partnerships, horses, that's why we're all here, right? The whole reason that you all got into sport was your love for those horses that you ride. Each of you folks, Michelle, you included, I want you to tell me about your absolute favorite horse and why that horse was your favorite. And whoever wants to go first, I'm not going to call on you again, Becca, you poor thing. Just because I know you, I keep asking you. But if anybody has a horse story. What'd you say?
I was just making a joke because I've got Fiona and Becca in front of me in one screen, so I'm calling them the twin sisters.
Yeah, and I love
that will stay forever. This one.
Yeah, Fiona just looked at me like, "You do it."
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, we can start with one of them. Becca or Fiona.
Yeah, no, I was like, she's gonna make me do it, so I'm just gonna do it. I have two, and that's a really hard question because I've had some amazing horses throughout my career, and they're all have a piece of my heart in some way. I think Becken, who never actually came out in the equestrian competition scene, is, I think, one of my most important horses because he helped me accept who I was as a child. I was very angry at my disability when I first started. I didn't want to be different. I wanted to be just like everyone else. And I tried all the typical little girl things. You know, I tried ballet and I tried soccer and I couldn't physically do them. And it hurt. Like it threw that disability in my face. And then I sat on a horse and I realized that my legs didn't matter, that I could do this. And so riding let me find kind of a peace within myself, and it was those horses. And Beckon was the first one that let me make all of my mistakes and all of kind of juggling of those emotions, of coming to terms with who I was as an individual, and learning to love myself, because he didn't judge me. He didn't, like I had been at school with all the other kids going, oh, she's different, she walks funny, this and that. And I think that's what makes horses so special, is that you treat them with kindness and love, and they give that back to you tenfold. And so that is what that horse did for me. He allowed me to really come to terms with myself as a person, as an individual. And it was brilliant. And I wouldn't be here without that horse. So that one holds a dear, dear place in my heart. I had him until he was 36 years old, and I miss him every day. And then I think the other one, I think Flora is also an incredibly important partner for me, just because of how amazing she is as a teammate. Just it doesn't matter what's happening, where you are in the world, what arena you're in, how intense it is. She goes, we do the things, we do them here. Great. How much do you need? Do you need everything? Okay, great. I'll give you 10 more. And she's just brilliant, and she's so kind, and she's so amazing, and she can go from winning triple gold medals to, I had a little girl named Anna come to my farm, and she trucked her around and gave her a sweet ride. And so it's again just shows how generous these animals are, and I think I will be forever grateful to them.
Oh, that gave me chills. Thanks. That's a great story. Okay, just because you're sitting next to her, Fiona, you are next.
Okay, I think I also have to say two. My first one would be Jagger, who, similar to Becca, he was the horse that I learned so much about how to accept my disability, and just like everything, my health in general. And he really gave me the confidence to believe in myself. And actually, Kate found him for me. And so that was really cool that, you know, she texted me one day and she was like, I think I found a horse for you. And I was like, really? Like, I'm not looking for one right now. And she was like, no, this is like this one. And I was like, okay. And he really was the big stepping stone in my kind of power career. And really, I learned how to ride with my dystonia on him. And then kind of leading into the second horse would be Diamond Dunes, because Jagger, learning how to ride Jagger best gave me the confidence to ride Dunes. And Dunes is just, he's my best friend. I think a little bit like Flora, like we say in the barn that they're kind of similar. They're both of our like kind of heart horses, I think, you know, and I can put anyone on that horse and wander around, and then, you know, he's gone and broken the world record in 2 different tests, but also he just like, I can go in his stool and sit in his shavings bed, and he just like rests his head on my lap, and he's super goofy, and he makes me so happy all the time. So I'd say those are my 2.
Wow. I can't wait to come back to Wellington and meet those horses. I'm just telling you what. Wow, sounds exciting. Kate, tell us some more.
Thank you for giving me the longest amount of time to also try and narrow down to 2, but I'm not going to do it. I got to do 3. So
Okay, you could do 3.
So I got to start with Solly, Mr. Solly. He was the horse that, when I was first trying to say, okay, we're really trying to make the team like this is the goal, and didn't have the world's biggest budget. So there was this 7-year-old horse that was still with the breeder, oldest in the barn. Nobody would buy him, not the best betting, not the easiest to ride. But I said, but that horse has the talent. If I can just learn to ride him, then we can do it. And he arrived, and we went to our first CPDI and was told that I would never be able to ride him. And thankfully, we proved that not to be true. And he went on to be my first team horse, both the Tryon World Equestrian Games, where we got our first individual medal, and then in Tokyo, the Paralympic Games, where we got the team bronze with my amazing teammates. So, I mean, that horse has given me everything. And no, it wasn't always the easiest, but that just made it that much more better. I think, you know, we were always the underdog. We were always able to exceed expectations, and it made it fun in a different way to be able to like come at the journey from that direction. And so I owe that horse so much. And he's 18 this year. He's still in the barn. He has a spot here forever. Whatever he wants, he's king of the barn. So Mr. Solly. And then I have to say my two princesses. So Miss Quiana, of course. I mean, that I have never had a connection with a horse the way I had with her. And I don't know if it was because it was my first mare or what, but she, when I first met her in Germany, she just like looked right through me, like wouldn't make eye contact. She was just like, oh yeah, you're here for me. I will tolerate you. And that was it. And so I decided that she was going to stay in Germany and I was going to go to Germany to get to know her on her turf and to create a relationship there, because I knew how important it was with all horses, but especially with mares, to kind of have that bond. And it turned out I spent the next 3 years in Germany. And it was really, for me, career changing, you know, the training opportunities, the showing opportunities, and just everything that she taught me. It's not even describable what she and I were able to do together, and the opportunities that she gave me. Okay, and then last but not least, the white unicorn, Miss Vianne, who's the horse that I rode in Paris and my current competition horse. And the reason why I absolutely have to add her in there is because she makes me feel like anything is possible. And there's so many barriers in this sport, especially for people with disabilities. And she's a horse that makes me feel like I can do it. And that is such a unique thing, because I've been always trying, you know, like particularly trying to do the FEI work as well, and not just the para. And with horses, you don't have to do everything exactly the same way, right? They can learn a different aid for something, and it can mean the same thing as something else. And so, you know, that's what's incredible with our horses, and especially in disability sport, and people that like can't even move their legs at all, but yet they can do amazing things on horses because they're so adaptable, you know, to other people and to us. So that's why I gotta say the white unicorn is definitely a very, very special one in my life.
I love that. I can't wait to see that horse go. My goodness. I've seen her on video, of course. I think we all have. But if you guys on this, you know, on this webinar have not seen these horses go, I strongly recommend you do a little research. Look on YouTube. They're all over the place. And these horses and these riders, you can see the connection from the second you turn on your TV screen. It is impressive, amazing, heartwarming, and makes me cry for the joy that I know is being had by both creatures in that moment. The horses, I believe, enjoy it just as much as these riders do, and that's super special. Okay, Michelle, not to be dissuaded, you are next. What horses have changed your life?
Right. Well, many have, but I have maybe a special horse. Actually, I've got two in my career, and the first one was actually in the States. When I moved in the US as a young guy, that was through my dad, who was already a dual national. I was studying in Paris, France, at university. I did psychology and also equally graphic design and fashion design, which was my parents' business. They were into fashion. My dad never wanted me to do horses because it was not a boys' sport. It was not right to be seen doing horses. So it's not that I was hiding it, but I was, you know, trying to do it not when I was studying. So when I first came to the States, I was offered an internship and a job in California at a company called Talbot, which is actually a menswear designer. So I went there, but kept on riding and did my job with the company. And I had a horse with me, which I bought at the time. It was a claim horse. It was actually an ex-race horse. In those days, there were still some thoroughbreds in the sport, and he was called Arthur. It was a bit of a nutter, sort of a crazy horse that was quite difficult. But to make a story short, when you believe in horses, they do come into what you want them to do. And of course, I had learned to be a dressage rider back in Europe and had learned to, ride up to Grand Prix, whatever. And I did manage after 3-4 years to get that horse up to international Grand Prix alongside my career, which my dad wanted me to do, which had nothing to do with horses, but I still managed to do that horse on the sidelines. And he got to Grand Prix. In fact, I did an international in Raleigh, North Carolina, after 4 years with him. He did well there. And then I sold him to a friend of mine as a schoolmaster. So it was just a great stepping stone for me. That's all I could afford at the time. And you just learn that, through dedication, you can do it. And also to be noted that even back in those days, the norm was to ride warm bloods in dressage, not thoroughbreds, because they're not, made to the sport. But I mean, there are some that did do it. So it was sort of an exception already to get into thoroughbreds. And actually, history follows you up in your lifetime, because back in the United Kingdom, of course, I did warm blood. The horse I won the national championships in France in Grand Prix was also the warm blood. It was a lovely mare, a Hanoverian mare by Accent 2, and she was the nicest horse ever. It was a great stepping stone for me. But after that, I got approached in the UK by an association which is called the Rehoming of Race Horses. So I thought, gosh, this is really following me in my career. They just came up with a horse that needed rehoming. It was a failed racehorse by Nijinsky, so a very, very prestigious bloodline in racing, I believe. The horse was tried, the horse was tried in eventing in England and it didn't succeed. The horse was very difficult and it was also a bit of a rare. I took the challenge on. They sort of knew I had a thoroughbred before back in the US in Grand Prix, so I took him on. And especially at that stage, you didn't see thoroughbreds anymore in dressage in Grand Prix. But he had a gift. He had a very good trot. So I thought, maybe we can do something with this horse. It took a long time. I remember days where my wife was trying to say, you have to give up, get off that horse. It's dangerous. It's not safe, blah, blah, blah. But again, to make a story short, with the belief of the horse, for some reason, I think sometimes when you have a difficult horse, you get more attached to them in a way that you want to help them to get through what they've been through. And I think you learn a lot as well as a trainer and coach, because you both get onto a journey of trying to deal with a problem. And my job with that horse was trying to see if I could get him to become a dressage horse. And it took 6 years. It was a long journey. I could not compete him, let's say, below Prix Saint George. It was too difficult. He had to be really well trained to be able to get into the arena, and that was not before Prix Saint George. But it got better and better and better, and I'm proud to say that in the end, he got into the Grand Prix, and he managed to win a Grand Prix championships at Hickstead, which is a major CDIO, 5-star CDIO in England. And I won the Derby there with him after 6 years of patience against warm bloods and what have you. So it's probably the horse that's taught me a lot in my life, in the sense that rules are rules, fashion with horses, and the norm is not always what gets you there. I think if you believe in the animal and you have that psychology to just nurse them along, their psychological hang up, because that horse obviously had a baggage with him. He was a failed racehorse, a failed eventer. He must have been frightened of something. It took a long time to get in there, but because he had that fight and that will in him, he got to be a very good Grand Prix horse in the end, and then just won in the highest possible rankings, at a 5-star show. So I have learned a lot with that horse, I have to say, because the odds were not in the favor of the horse becoming a good international horse. So you learn a lot, and it's through patience and understanding. It's not through force and greed and whatever you want to call it is it's a partnership, and I think it helps you along the line. And I think it's helped me a lot also with riders sometimes struggling as well. It's just make you a better psychologist at trying to read the athletes as well and how we can get them there. So it's a great adventure between horses and athletes where we all learn and develop as riders, coaches, whatever it is. It's a great journey. So yeah, that's my story.
That relationship piece that you were talking about with the horse, and also how it transfers to riders, of course. But that relationship piece, that's what the Horses and Humans Research Foundation really is all about. It's all about figuring out what it is between the relationship between a horse and a human that improves both of us, both the horses and the human. And so that was really well put, Michelle. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Ooh, so let's talk about other relationships. Let's talk about sponsors, horse owners, people that have helped you riders along your way get to where you are. Like who do you most admire? Who do you most appreciate, maybe is a better word, who has really helped you with either finding horses? Sounds like Kate's really good at finding horses for Fiona. But maybe sponsoring your horses. I mean, I've known Becca since she was literally 15, and I knew that their family didn't have the finances to be able to afford what Becca has been doing, and with these amazing horses and the contribution that you make to our country. Don't get me wrong, the contribution that you've made to our country, Becca, is worth every cent times 1,000. I'm just wondering, how do you find folks like that? I know through success, people come to you and whatnot, but I know it's been super hard work pounding pavement. So Becca, give me a brief synopsis.
Yeah, so I mean, it's very true. Once you're successful, people kind of see the tip of the iceberg and don't necessarily see all of the years and tears and hard work and effort that has gone into creating those relationships. Some of it has been luck and being in the right place at the right moment. But I also worked very hard to craft relationships with people. And I'm also very diligent in when I approach people about things. I come prepared. I come as my technical degree is forensic accounting. So I'm a numbers person, and I've worked very hard to make sure that horses can be messy, and it's not always easy, and that you spend a lot of money, and it kind of, where does it go? So I am very known for my spreadsheets. And also just building relationships with people. I've had people very generously donate horses to me when I didn't have something to ride, because as you said, my family's not horsey at all. So my early career started with the generosity of the local horse community, and I think that's so important to note. Is people wanted to be part of the journey and the effort and the world, so they gave me rides. And then as the sport developed over the last 25 years, the horses that we need have gotten wildly higher quality, and as that happens, so does the expense. So I put together basically what I call a lookbook of what my goals were and how I was going to achieve them. And
what a great idea.
Yeah, and it's just a way to say, okay, these are my goals. This is an exact outline of how I am going to do that. Here is my budget. And then I would sit down with people, and I've been very fortunate to have introductions, and I put together a syndicate originally because I couldn't find a sole sponsor. That's quite hard to do. But I wanted to share the journey. So I found 6 or 7 people, and we went together and bought a horse, and that was my Rio horse. And then after that, a couple of those people were like, this is amazing, we want to do this again, but we would like to solely do it. So it was just the building of relationships over 20 years, but doing that with very direct attention to the details of that relationship and exactly outlining and being very diligent and not sugarcoating exactly what that was going to cost, because it's easy to go, oh yeah, it's a little small number, but I was very, it's much easier to go over budget. So I always wanted to make sure that people were very aware of exactly how much this cost, especially competing, flying to Europe, and being very aware of those numbers, because I think you have to be very honest about all of those things and upfront about those expenses and those costs and what people are really getting into, because it's an amazing, wonderful journey, but it is also expensive, and you have to figure out how to offset those expenses, either with sponsorship or donations from foundations. There's a lot of ways you can do it. You have to be creative. And I think that's, I had to do it because I didn't have the financial backing that was from my family. So Starbucks is actually one of, and has been for 16 years, one of my corporate sponsors. And that worked. It happened when I was a working student, and I needed to earn some income on the side while I was kind of learning the ropes. And that relationship developed over the last 20 years, and I'm still at Starbucks. So, I mean, that was not a short response, so I apologize for that.
No, it's
but-
important. It takes a whole bunch to put this together for any rider, whether you have the financial means or not. It's still, you have to have a plan, you have to have a program, you have to have a horse, you always need a backup.
Yeah,
I don't know how many times I took young riders to championships, and Barranca got cast in the stall 5 minutes before the jog, and we were out. So I mean,
those happen.
I do. I do.
And I'm amazingly blessed with my horse owner now, who is Rowan O'Reilly. We've been together for 8 years, and she not only supports me, but also supports the entire discipline of para dressage. And she's just a phenomenal woman. So without
She believes in you guys, and she believes in all the hard work that you're putting in, and she believes in Michel and in the program. So all of you are to thank for that as well. She could have just sponsored you, but instead she decided to take on the team, and that's pretty amazing. That just doesn't happen. I bet it's a one-off. I bet it's the only time it's ever happened in history, and it's amazing.
Yeah,
Truly.
she's an amazing woman.
So Fiona and Kate, would you like to add some about your journey and how you were able to put together your teams?
I mean, I can jump in quickly. I think so. In my case, my parents, they definitely tried to support me as much as possible, but it wouldn't have been possible without the kind of team that was around me, which I think was sort of luck in my case. I mean,
an amazing skill. I've seen you ride, and you are a maestro up there. So don't discount your own gift.
I will say, for my journey in para, a huge person that was a part of my journey was Kate, who gave me so many opportunities. She let me ride her horses, and she helped coach me and find horses. And definitely would tell me, you can do this, when I was like, but I mean, they always say it takes a village, and it really does. Like, there are so many people on my team that I would not have made it to where I am today without every single one of them. So yeah.
I love that. How about you, Miss Kate? Sounds like you have a fangirl over there next door with Fiona.
No, just a good friend, because when I first met her, we were at a horse show, and we were going to be showing against each other on Sunday, and she had gotten like this huge score. What was it, Fiona? Like 75, I think. Yeah, and I was like, who is that? So I went to watch her ride, and then I'm standing there, and I'm like, well, I should go introduce myself. Don't want to be rude after I'm like stalking this person. And so then I invited her to lunch. I was like, well, let's get lunch and we'll talk. And then I ended up finding out more about her story, and that like she wanted to give this a go. And I was like, well, you got to come to Florida. So I mean, I got a spot in my barn if you want to send your horse down. Totally thinking she would never take up this offer, because I didn't really have a spot in the barn. so she calls me and said, okay, I'm sitting down my horse like next week. And I was like, yay, let me move another horse out. And so, you know, she showed up with her adorable little quarter horse that was lovely, but not going to be an international para horse. But just in the time that I slowly got to know her and saw like her drive, like there's people out there that are just special, and you can just see, and like my, you know, all of my teammates are those people, but you know, not having known Fiona, to be able to see that she was one of those people that had the drive and had the talent, and just like there's something about people who just, you don't have to tell them, oh, you need to do this, this, and this. They just do it. Like they just get up early, they go the extra mile, they're spending 2 hours in their horse's stall. She says it's because she's hiding from me, but I think she was just bonding with her horse. And so like it was so easy to get on board with her team because I believed in her, and she just, I think, Fiona, you just needed someone who believed in you. And then there was a large group of us who believed in you, and that kind of, I mean, I know I was supposed to be talking about me, but this is such a, you know, I don't know, it's so much easier to brag about my teammates. But yeah, I would say in my journey, it's the people, because there's so many, and I probably can't even fit them on one piece of paper, who, if any of them were missing, I wouldn't be where I am, you know. And these people that give so much of their time and their own hearts, and like, and above and beyond, because they want to see you succeed, you know. And that it's just so incredibly special to have those relationships with people who come on and take on your burden with you and say, let's do this, you know. And I've been so blessed to be, I don't know if it's the right place at the right time, or just the fact that humans really are kind, amazing people, and just over the years, the relationships, and there's so many people, I'm like, if that was missing, this wouldn't have happened, and if they were missing, this wouldn't have happened, and learning from everybody and the opportunities that happen. So the human relationship, and then the bringing together with our horse or our horses, is just, it's just incredible, the places that we end up because of the horses and the people that we meet.
Isn't that the truth? And here we all are because of the horses and the people that we meet right here in this very chat.
Exactly.
I love it. What about you, Michelle? Who do you feel is like someone that you're grateful for our US team, or some other relationship?
Well, I think for me, it's I feel with, you know, with what I do, it's a little bit like I'm a catalyst of things. I'm just there to facilitate great things to happen. And, you know,
well, it's working because great things have happened. Good job.
You know, we are sitting here with these young ladies, which are the pinnacle of the sport. You know, we are, you know, elite riders are definitely at the top of the sport. And it's no secret that it takes talent. And you know, with them, I have seen talent. I remember when I first met Kate, I have a strong memory of what I do in life professionally. And I remember meeting Kate the very first time at a show at a competition called Rancho Murrieta in California, at least 7 years ago. And she was actually with Solitaire, her horse, who was not being always very cooperative. But when I first met Kate, I thought, yeah, she's got what it takes. I can see that. And we're going to help her. So that was the first start for me with Kate. I could see that she had what it would take. And she didn't have an easy horse, but that could also get to be better. So, you know, I felt that, okay, we're just going to make sure that she's going to get where she wants to get. And of course, I met Becca along the lines. I had sort of knew of Becca from the time where I was also coaching the Brits. Again, I could see that she was a very talented rider, but she didn't always have the right horse with her, because, you know, we always say you're only as good as your
times.
You're only as good as your horses, right? There's just one thing in dressage or para dressage, you just don't do miracles. You know, you have two entities. You have an athlete, a rider athlete, human athlete, and you have a horse. If the rider is top, and if the horse is not matching the quality and the skills of the rider, it's just not going to happen. So I don't know at the time that Becca with the right horse, she will also get where she wants to get, because I could see she had also that talent and determination and patience and all the qualities of a top athlete. So it was just a matter of time, and she has just shown that she could do that along the line with different horses. And the same with Fiona. I can remember precisely maybe 3 years ago at a competition in North Carolina in Tryon, when Fiona was working with Kate. And when I first saw her, I thought, yeah, she's got it. I could just tell. It doesn't take me very long, as much as when I look at a horse, I could just tell instantly that she had what it would take. She was on a not so easy horse at the time that was trying to take off with her and what have you, but it didn't matter. I could just see that she was what we would call oozing talent, and it was just a matter of time whether she would become a star as well. So there you are. These were just waiting to be in bloom, ready to be sort of superstars, and there they are. When there's talent somewhere, it's just a matter of recognizing it and just helping people along the line, and that's what I do. I think it's just fabulous to have that chance to help people to get on the journey they've been dreaming of. I think it's a great feeling.
Well, I'll tell you what, Michelle, the US is so lucky to have you. And I know that these riders and all the rest of them that you are coaching and helping and following to their best selves as riders, I know that they're all very appreciative. Something we talked about just before we started here today, Michelle, was about the centers of excellence. And there are about 9, I think you had said, centers of excellence throughout the United States. They are typically at PATH centers, and they are therapeutic riding programs with the ability to coach a rider up through the levels to international sport, or at least national level sport in para-equestrian dressage. And I just wondered if you wanted to talk a little bit about that. A lot of the people on this call are PATH International instructors and administrators. How can we bring more people into the sport?
Yeah, so this was the first project from yourself. I think, in fact, it was the baby from Lauren Johnson and Will Connell at the time. It was just to create a link between therapeutic riding and competitive riding, which did not exist in this country. There is an association, for instance, in Europe, but in the UK, called the RDA, the Riding for the Disabled Association, which is a little bit different from PATH because they have got their own championship. So they are actually therapeutic, but they do have competition channel within the organization. So there is an incentive for riders, if they have the talent for it, that they can actually compete. But we don't have that with PATH. So this was really an idea to create that link, sort of linking this type of athletes. Because, with disability, there's always 2 things. You could be a dressage rider and have an accident, and then you're gonna, by default, become a para-dressage rider. And then the pathway is quite obvious. You probably will get back to your affiliate, which could be, USDF, and get back into para-dressage that way. So you've already have an idea how it would work. The other side is, an athlete being born with a disability and having to grow with that, where the horse is really part of you coping with your disability and helping you. So the horse is really a therapeutic tool at that stage. And from all of these kids that have got to go through that, some of them will have what I call a competition bug, And it's to create that. Again, in Europe, when you are with the RDA, because some of the kids are already competing, then you have that bug, you see your friend next door, oh, well, he's doing competitions. I want to do that as well. But with PATH, you don't have that. So hopefully the series creating that channel there of, for instance, kids, that could compete. So the job of the series to link the 2 together. And we've had a few now that have successfully come through those channels, whether it's in California, for instance. I can think of a girl called Mia. She was started at the Ride On Center in, again, Chatsworth near LA. That's where she started.
That's one of the centers of excellence?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it's a
I think you
Very big
froze.
one in Los Angeles. Yes, and in fact, Harrison Ford was the head patron at the time, so it's quite a very famous California center. It is 990%, therapeutic, but some have come out into competition riding. And we've also had a couple of coaches there that did the coach program, because we have a coach program as well to educate the coaches, whether they're dressage coaches or non-dressage coaches. We're sort of trying to educate them to become more specialized into para dressage. And that Center of Excellence has produced a couple of coaches. So the COEs, they also produce coaches because they are, to me, instrumental to developing the sport in the country. I mean, they are, for me, networkers. A coach is a networker. They are the ones that are in contact with other coaches, other athletes, within the sport, outside the sport, and they are the ones that are going to bring people together without you knowing about it. So, and it's one thing we do, and I do. I sort of work with the coaches throughout the country, and COEs are involved with that. They are developing coaches
Yeah.
as well. They're doing a great
And then I
job.
think, yeah, I think it's a great thing that they put together, because it's a way for therapeutic riding centers to funnel their riders to other centers who can handle it, who do have the horses and do have the coaches. For someone, as you put it, has the competition bug. Sorry about my dog barking in the background. It's a dachshund and you can't control it, so I apologize. We just have a few minutes left, and for all of you guys in this chat, if you or in this group, if you have any questions, just pop them into the chat, and we'll see if our multiple medal winning panel is interested in or able to answer your questions. I have to tell you, it's been about the best hour of my life. I have enjoyed every second of this, and I'm just so grateful to have been asked to moderate. I don't want to keep anybody longer. Oh, you're welcome, Mercy. There is somebody on this call that's really special to me, though. I have to say his name is Sam, and he was a rider of mine when I worked at Little Bit Therapeutic Riding Center for 22 years up in the Seattle area, teaching, coaching, and as the program director. That's where I met Margot, Erin, Alberta, that some of you may know. The last show we competed with was the WAG in 2010 in Kentucky. And a number of other riders. Anyway, Sam, glad you're on the call. Nice to see you. Glad you showed up. I appreciate that. Anybody have any questions? Is there a way I can unmute people? I don't know how to do that. It's your job, Pebbles. It's awkward. Okay. Anything everybody want to say in closing other than I want to say thank you? Oh, congrats to the U.S. Pair team. Thank you for sharing your insights and the path each of you took. So fabulous. Love to get more involved on the coaching side. How do you get involved? That's a good question, Marnie. Do you want to answer that, Michelle? All the ladies here have their own coaches, and Michel is the chef de keep, so he's sort of the overarching godfather of them all. Let's put it that way.
Right. Well, we do have a coach program with USEF, which Lauren Johnson, our team leader, she actually is managing the courses and the program for that. We normally have once a year a coach program that we hold at one of the COEs. So the best is to really get in touch with Lauren Johnson at USEF. You can find that on the website, usef.com or usequestrian.com. And Lauren Johnson, our team leader, she can actually send you all the appropriate literature about the courses we offer for coaching.
Yeah, so that's Laureen Johnson for those of you that are have American accents like mine. Just kidding, Michelle. Just playing with you. Well, hearing nothing else, I just want to thank everyone for coming out and visiting with us tonight, especially our athletes. I am so impressed with you. And Fiona, a freaking world record today. Wow. And you're just sitting here like a normal human. I'm so impressed.
Thank
And
you.
Becca, you are the person of the year for the Chronicle of the Horse last year. So congratulations on that gigantic honor. To my knowledge, that's the first para-equestrian who's ever been bestowed that honor. So I want to thank you on behalf of all of us in horse sport.
Thank you.
And
Becca had
anyway.
a gold medal. I don't know if you still have it. Do you still
Oh
have it?
yeah, can you hold your gold medal up, Becca?
I do. Hold on.
So everybody can see it?
I don't know if we can get
Oh,
it
it's
to
focused.
unfocus. There we go.
Yeah.
So that is that is that.
I was asking her beforehand, did they wear it on the plane home? And she was like, yeah, and had all these pictures taken. And so I was like, definitely would not be checking that. It would be on my body all the time.
I love it. I love it. So in closing, I just want to read one of the comments in the chat because I think it's so sweet and I think it really hits home the message. There's nothing sweet about this sport. It is hard, it is grit, it is sweat, it is tears, it is failure over and over again. And then there's some success like these guys, but only because it's built on top of those relationships. And what Mary Elena Moran said, a very strong theme that I heard was believe in someone so they can believe in themselves and the power that is held in that action. I think that's very impressive. Thank you so much, Mary Elena. That was well said. And ladies and gentlemen, I applaud you all. And I'm just so grateful to all of you for bringing the US onto the world stage in para-dressage. So thank you.
Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you
us
so
today.
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a good night. I'll see you guys in Wellington in a couple weeks.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
God bless.